From the moment life has been breathed into us, we search for ways to fill ourselves. No matter what stage of life one is at, misery is experienced by all. So, what allows us to validate our own existence and live on? When we look at the latest adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, what we see is the haunting tale of two creatures that struggles to grasp themselves and the nature of life. This is an analysis of Frankenstein, and you're watching the Manor movies. Frankenstein is one of the most adapted books of all time that talks about the dangers of man's hubris and curiosity, which will ultimately lead to our own demise. The movie tells the story in two parts, which are both narrated by our protagonists. The first part is narrated by Victor Frankenstein, and the second part is narrated by the creature, so it is best to tackle the story in a similar structure. Firstly, let's look at the story of Victor Frankenstein. Victor's story is centered around the unhealthy family dynamics he has seen as a child. I think we can trace two distinct issues which stem from this relationship that led him to the pursuit of making the creature. For one, there is resentment against his father, who has always looked at him in disappointment. He was frequently abused both verbally and physically for not meeting his expectations. There's also this heavy emphasis that they are both very different individuals, with his father being very stoic or composed, and Victor seeming more on the emotional side. But what really contributes to his hatred towards his father is his intense love for his mother, which is the only real connection he has throughout this movie, and we can see that he doubts his father played at least a passive role in her death. This is when we see that Victor transforms from a melancholic child to a passionate scientist. When he comes face to face with his own mortality through his mother's death, he realizes that he is powerless. He is also driven by the hatred he fostered towards his own father, and in some way this was a way to reject and step on his legacy. He disregards both cultural and social norms by continuing his research and does not pause to listen to anyone else. His transformation is great, as we go from seeing a child who mourns from seeing his mother's lifeless body to someone who uses corpses as he likes. We even see his moral decline by how insensitively he purchases bodies of those who have not yet died. In these scenes, we see this man playing God and acting as though he has command over others. This inflation of ego is boosted by the occasional feelings of grandeur. He often sees an angel-like figure in his dreams that tells him to push forward to his goal. This figure is bright red, engulfed in flames, and creates an uneasy feeling in anyone who sees it. But Victor is enamored by this figure due to how his mind has been warped by trauma and isolation. As the movie progresses, we see Victor dive more into this dream and away from society overall. This is important because we do not see Victor forming any meaningful relationship outside of the one he has with his mother. He does seem to be intrigued by Elizabeth, but this is not shown to be authentic in any way. For one, Elizabeth is played by the same actor that played his mother. It may be that Victor sees his own mother as though he is a child stuck in a grown man's body. There is also the obvious jealousy he feels towards his own brother, but even here, he is not able to gain that relationship because Victor is not a pure individual. His ideas of love and attachment are spoiled by his obsession. When we look at the story of the creature, we see how cruel existence can be. He is shown to be a perfect figure but has the intellectual capacity of a child. Due to his inability to meet perfection, Victor chains him down to the basement and abuses him. What is truly sad is that Victor abuses this creature for not being able to say anything but the name, Victor. Here the creature is like a child that calls out to his father for affection, but just like Victor, he receives none. What really sets this character apart is how he goes on a completely different path compared to that of his creator. After his escape, we see that he runs into this village where he forms a relationship with a certain family. Even at this point, he does not show himself because he is afraid that they will see him differently. We see his true compassionate nature when we see him gifting firewood to thank them for offering him some form of affection. When we see him meeting with the blind man alone, we see this childlike curiosity in him. Here he is welcomed without judgment, and we see that the creature becomes more human. However, he soon realizes that he cannot receive love the same way, because those who have vision will always see him differently. This is when we start to see the creature following the same trend as Victor. He isolates himself and believes that the creation of something exactly like him is the answer to his loneliness. He not only demands this from Victor, but also threatens to harm him. From this point, the creature is guided by anger and pain. He begins to curse his own existence. And here, just like Victor, he starts to become less of a person and more of a vessel filled with rage and hate. This movie succeeds in showing how human beings are shaped by their experiences. We have inherent virtue, but it also has to be nurtured. In the ending, what we see is a beautiful climax to a story of two individuals that are the product of their environment. We see both characters let go of their past. In the final shot, what we see is the creature bathing in sunlight, preparing to embrace life. In saying all this movie is not without its faults. I am not an avid reader, but I have read the original Frankenstein novel. This movie is hailed by many as a definitive adaptation of the classic story, but I would disagree. I think some of the choices made in the movie completely changes the meaning and the point of the original story. And the main issue comes from how Victor reacts to the creature when he sees it for the first time. In the book, Victor is horrified and abandons the creature right away, which causes him to spiral down. But in the movie, we see that Victor is happy about it at first, but then abandons the creature once he learns that the experiment was not a success. In the book, Victor feels shame about his creation itself and not just the result. This is what gives the existential dread of the story and why it continues to inspire sci-fi genre even now. Due to this one change in the movie, the theme of the story was changed from the horror of human ingenuity and its hubris to the importance of love and acceptance. Even though the latter theme is present within the book, the movie chooses to focus on just that. By doing so, the movie glosses over the critique the book gives about human aspiration. Another issue would be how the movie humanizes the creature to a fault. In the book, he very much commits many atrocious acts to many innocent people. This allows us to understand how even an innocent person can become a violent monster. By not allowing the monster to do such evil acts, the story misses out on some of the intensity of the book, due to which Frankenstein's actions do not have such great consequences. All this to say, it is still an interesting movie that would really move anyone. It is beautiful and could be seen as an effective reinterpretation of the story viewed from the perspective of prejudice and love. I would rate this movie a strong 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.